The United Nations predicts the world's population will reach 9.6 billion by the year 2050, and finding a sustainable way to feed such a large population is at the top of their list of priorities. Aquaculture production has increased from 5 million tonnes to 63 million tonnes in the past 3 decades, whilst wild fish captures have plateaued and are now declining. By 2012, aquaculture was supplying half of the world's demand for fish. The need for symbiosis between aquaculture and wild fish captures is important because fish is an extremely valuable source of protein. 150 grams provides an adult with 50 to 60% of protein requirements for one day. With over 60% of measurable marine species being either fully exploited or overexploited, it is easy to imagine that aquaculture will reduce the pressure on wild fish captures and lead to an increase in the wild fish population. However, bad aquaculture practices can degrade coastal resources, introduce exotic species, breed pathogens, and use more wild fish to feed farm fish than it produces. So will aquaculture harm or help the wild fish population? One of the most harmful aspects of aquaculture is its over-reliance on the use of wild fish capture to produce fish meal to feed farmed fish. It is estimated that on average for aquaculture to produce 1 kilo of farmed fish, it uses 1.9 kilos of wild fish. Byproducts from aquaculture, such as effluent, antibiotics, uneaten fish meal, and chemicals cause environmental pollution. In some cases, these byproducts flow directly into the ocean, creating algae blooms, decreasing oxygen levels, killing coral and other habitats that directly affect the health of wild fish. Lehane estimates that a salmon farm with 200,000 salmon releases levels of nitrogen, phosphorus and fecal matter equivalent to the untreated sewage of 20,000 people. Bad aquaculture practices can degrade coastal resources. Many hundreds of thousands of acres of wetland and mangroves have been destroyed to create aquaculture ponds. Current practices in ocean aquaculture can lead to the escape of farmed species. As discussed by Naylor et al., there are concerns that escaped hybridized fish will breed with wild fish, altering genetics and changing spawning habits, as well as competing and decimating indigenous fish species. Farmed fish can carry disease and pathogens, and the movement of farmed fish in Europe have been blamed for serious deadly epidemics in Atlantic salmon. Aquaculture also uses wild seed, which means they grow juvenile fish that have been caught in the wild. Farmers in the Philippines use a seine net to catch milkfish fry and have an 85% bycatch. Aquaculture can help ensure the survival of wild fish by taking the pressure off wild-caught fish, but it needs to look for scientific improvements and technological advancements to reduce the negative effects on the marine ecosystem. More farming of fish such as carp and tilapia that are vegetarian or filter fish will reduce the amount of wild fish needed for fish meal. Expansion of such low trophic level fish farming will benefit wild fish. Closed inland systems are the best types of aquacultural practices because they contain the species being farmed, preventing escapes and the release of disease and pathogens. Strict regulatory practices need to be enforced by governments to ensure the preservation of coastal resources and the treatment of effluent and wastewater. With these measures, aquaculture can help the survival of wild fish and be a very important sustainable resource for the future.